Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off in my dimly lit office. Two of my light bulbs are out, and I haven't taken the time to deal with them. Hope you're well this morning. Trade deadline is 1 o'clock Thursday, our time. It's 8 a.m. Tuesday, and nothing has happened yet. It's getting tight. I think something's going to go. Orlando's obviously holding the first card with Dwight. Andrew Bogut has become very, very active in all of this. Though I can't figure out on Bogut why that deal gets done now and not in the offseason. Um, because he's hurt, so I don't understand what anyone's. I feel like Milwaukee is going to trade him, but I feel like it's going to be in the offseason instead of now. It just doesn't seem to me to make any sense of why. So if Golden State's trying to go get him, I'm not sure what they gain by getting him while he has a fractured ankle, where he may or may not come back this year. So that's the only thought I have. A lot of other names: DJ Augustine, Jamal Crawford, Ramon Sessions. None of them move me. Um, a lot of general managers want to make a move for the sake of making a move to say that they did something. They will probably make moves. Indiana, Houston, um, Dallas are almost always involved. Dallas is about as quiet as Utah, though, frankly, when it gets right down to it. You don't hear their name mentioned. You know they're working on stuff. So we'll see what happens. Again, on our end, the only guys really that I think you're advantageous if you move now instead of at the um, at the off season. CJ because his contract expires, and then Josh because his contract expires. But otherwise, Raja you probably can move again in the off season unless you need to move Raja, though it seems like everything got straightened out. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, by the way, for those watching on YouTube, there has been a movement by Kevin Ferguson to bring back the T-shirt thing. I don't know if you remember, but when we first started Tip Off last year, I started wearing different T-shirts. Actually, in fact, the T-shirt I have underneath is what caused the problem. I was wearing it was back-to-back days. Once I wore a Supersonic shirt, and then the next day I wore the Derrick Rose MVP shirt that the Bulls um, sent me. The Supersonic shirt, I used to work for him. Definitely has a dear place in my heart for all those fans who got their team stolen. And the other shirt's just a cool shirt that was sent to me for free. And my point was, my shirts are not a statement. My shirts I'm willing to wear if you send me a free shirt. So we got into this fun game where everybody started sending me free shirts, and then I just never did anything with it because the summer came and I disappeared. So we're trying not to disappear as much this year. So if you'd like to send me a shirt of your company, I know So What Embroidery was talking about making Locked On Jazz shirts, and we may do a trade with them. I gotta get back to our buddy over there. They've done great work for us at 1320K fan at So What. So we'll see whether or not it's not like so. It's like so. See, it's kind of cute. Like so what? Get it? I thought it was pretty good too. All right, I'm in a good mood this morning. I got sleep, frankly. Kids are on spring break, and I didn't wake up with my usual dark 30. Uh, so anyway, if you want to send me a shirt, send it at 434 to Kevin Ferguson, since I don't actually exist at Bearcat Drive anymore. Send it to Ferg. I'm going to put Ferg in charge of this. Kevin Ferguson at 434 Bearcat Drive, Salt Lake City, Utah. And it would be nice if I actually knew the address, wouldn't it? Quick web search. Let's see what it says if it gives me a zip code. 84115. 434 West Bearcat Drive, Salt Lake City, Utah 84115. You can drop it off if you want to as well. All right. Can we have a talk? I think we need to have a talk. Just me and you, and I'm not, honestly I don't know how many people this involves. So we just need to we sit down and talk. So the Jazz win last night. They are unquestionably in the midst of the playoff run. Stunningly to me. Stunningly to me. They have a very legitimate chance to make the playoffs. which is even more stunning to me. Now that may all fall apart this week, but basically, if the Jazz can equal their road wins to their home losses, they're going to be 500. If you think about that for a second, uh, equal your road wins to your home losses, which means we actually have to win less on the road than other people because we're so good at home. And right now, if you look, Houston and Dallas are +1 road wins minus home losses. Utah and Portland are -1. Minnesota is -2, and Phoenix and Golden State are -3. So Houston is considerably ahead in the fact that they're +1 to our -1. But that's a pretty good method to figure out where a team is in the standings. And that means that we're really the next most likely team with Portland at this moment to make the playoffs. So we're in it. I'm stunned by that, but at this point we're in it. So that's where our talk is. And this is really probably to very few people, but the idea that we win last night and the typing fingers of 140 characters just goes on a huge bitch fest about the fact that we didn't play the young kids. I've been on the forefront of Alec Burks, Derek Favors, Gordon Hayward playing, and Ennis, though Ennis he's really kind of hit the wall. But at this point, with 25 left, I just kind of feel like it's time to just really focus on winning games here for a little bit. That's the franchise came out with what I think many of us thought was somewhat of a almost crazy approach, which was that we're going to try to make the playoffs with this team, a team that was arguably in the 5 worst teams in the NBA for the second half of last season. Well, Tyrone Corbin and his crew and the players have played hard enough that they're in it. They're in it. You can't deny that. I think it means at some point here, you got to back off on this just insane bitch fest. Frankly, my personal feeling is that for most of the people that are losing their mind over this, if we were playing the young kids and we were losing every night, then they just want to fire Ty every night. Hey, there's some legitimate discussions here that make this difficult, and it has made it difficult all year, that the differentiation between player 1 and player 11 on our roster is very slim. And so therefore, when a guy plays, you think to yourself, well, the other guy should play, particularly if you want to see that other player. And that is, I think, legit, because I agree that the differentiation is pretty slim. And I, at times, have a hard time trying to figure out, if we were just playing Gordon and Burks instead of CJ and Raja, would we actually win anymore? And I'm not convinced that that's true, that we would. But at this point, frankly, they're in it. They're in a legitimate, real playoff race. And the nightly complaining, frankly, it's just too much for me, at least for me to handle. So I guess that's why I'm bringing it up. It obviously struck a chord. At some point, enjoy the ride. We'll see how this all plays out. They lose their next 3. They're suddenly out of it. Maybe things change. But at some point, it's not going to happen. You're complaining and barking up a tree that not going to happen. Right? It's just get over it. And I mean, I'm the biggest Faves guy right now. He's playing great. But the truth is, offensively at least, if we're going to go work Al in the post every play, Favors brings the other defender to Al, because Derek doesn't have an outside game yet. So it makes a lot of sense to have Millsap on the floor with that tandem. And now that Paul's playing well, which is really the crux of what was going on earlier, frankly, is that Paul wasn't playing well. And Paul, if you rank the players on this team, is somewhere between 1 and 3. And I don't care how deep you are. If one of your three best players is really in a miserable slump, which Paul was for the month of February, shooting 44%, it's very hard to win. So anyway, you can buy. I guess it's up to you what you decide you want to do, but at some point enjoy the ride. I guess is all I'm saying. That the idea that we're just gonna every night complain, complain, complain. And I do think, I guess part of it is I kind of feel like if you weren't complaining about that, you'd be complaining about something else. Maybe that's just what Twitter is, what some people do. I mean, I had this great experience. I don't know if this relates at all, but I'm now sharing this experience. When I was in Charlotte, where I walked in, and there was a chocolate chip cookie, big chocolate chip cookie, and then they had little tiny chocolate chip cookie bites. And I said to the woman, well, which are better? She goes, they're the exact same. I go, no, they actually can't be the exact same because one's big and has a texture difference than the other. So I was, whatever. They can't. I looked at her, and like one of the other coworkers kind of said, "No, they're not the exact same." Like we all laugh, like you're not, and then we joking, like you can't just like one chocolate chip cookie is not another. That's like, there's the chocolate. We're talking chocolate chip cookies here, and it always comes back to a cookie analogy to me. I know, and um, so this woman was like, "Well, neither of them are gluten free, and I can't eat them." And I was like, "Oh, well then you clearly aren't a cookie connoisseur." And and then there was this kind of funny moment in the conversation where she was like, "Well, see what it's like to be gluten free." I'm like, "Oh, I think it would suck." And then she was pissed at me because I told her that her existence sucked. And it was this great moment of like, okay, so she wanted to complain about the fact she's gluten free. I actually agreed with her that it sucks to be gluten free and that she can't have these cookies. And then she was mad that I agreed with her. And I'm not saying that everyone's like this, but there are people out there that like just want to just completely complain. And then if you agree with their complaint, they don't know what the heck to do. So then they move to, frankly, then they move to their next complaint. So anyway, I don't know. I guess my point here is we're Jazz fans. Uh, and sure, we all have a vision how the season was going to go. The organization took it the way they said they're going to. And frankly, we have 25 games left. And at this moment, the organization's been right, whether we like it or not. And you can get into the whole debate, oh, but if we make the playoffs, we lose our draft pick. Just enjoy it. If we lose the next three, we can rev the thing up again. But in the meantime, stunningly, a year after Darren Williams trade, we're sitting here playing for a playoff spot. While Toronto, who lost Bosh, while Cleveland, who lost LeBron, are sitting there in pure misery, and we get to make a run at it. So let's enjoy it. All right, last night, by the way, Al was great. And Al, some interesting stuff going on here. I mean, Al has improved a little bit. And the bigger thing is, against good defensive teams, he does shoot a low percentage, and we don't have the answers to cover up for that when we don't hit any threes and we don't hit mid-range jumpers. But when Al's getting younger, not as good defensive players on him, he is killing them. And when Al kills people, we win. And give him credit because he's probably a large reason why this team is at 500. And there are moments now where I'm watching Al and beginning to wonder if he is evolving into a player where if you have good players around him, he might be able to help you win. When he's your primary only guy, I don't think he can. He just shoots from two low efficiency spots on the floor. He doesn't go to the free throw line enough. All the same things I've always felt. But boy, he's killing some guys. I mean, he just slapped Greg Monroe last night in a brutal fashion. Now, Monroe may have only seen Al once or twice in his career, and he just had no idea what to do. But Al beat him every which way. Hook to the middle. Beautiful drop step to the baseline. Up and under move to the baseline. Straight up jump shot. I mean, he just beat him every which way. And it was really cool. It was really, really cool. And they played well. Faves showed some good plays again last night. Gordon's playing better off the bench. He does seem to be relaxed a little bit. Burks didn't play, and that's not great, but it goes into the whole thing. And frankly, CJ can drive us all crazy. If you've ever met CJ, there's no one you'll root for more. Um, and uh, it was nice to see him finally have a good game. It doesn't, in any way, shape, or form, make me believe CJ is a better player. It just means that the numbers came up that for a night he hit. So enjoy it. I got an interesting note from KHP on Twitter that he went and found out that no top 5 pick since '95 has played less or near favors minutes in the first 2 years ever has been a star. He looked since '95. He can't find an Oreo cookie example of someone who's been, I think, and I don't quite understand. It's an interesting concept that Pelton and I brought up, and Pelton and I are going to try to connect today on whether or not you actually can overdip the Oreo, which has been my premise to talk about. And there's some question on whether or not that's true. Final thing, I've got a lot of stuff from people on the Raja thing that, not a lot, but a few, and so it struck another chord, that I didn't cover it. I don't actually get that. So I had the story, and we had it up on Locked On Jazz, and I tweeted it, and frankly I had it first, but I don't really care, about the fact that there was an internal matter and Raja was sent home. I asked Tyrone about it in the coaches show in Chicago. I didn't have the story that they were going to have a meeting. Jody Genesee had that story. Brian had that story. I didn't have that story. Ben Bagley was at shoot around and got the reaction from everyone. And I talked about it yesterday on tip-off, and I don't know what you guys want me to cover for you. I mean, I guess so. Not like there was a confrontation between a player and a coach. I mean, guys, this wasn't that complicated. Raja got sent home. There was a blow up. He got sent home. That was pretty clear. I mean, I guess hand fed. I mean, it was pretty clear. And Raja and Ty and Kevin met. They seemed to straighten things out, and he played. The Jazz choices with Raja are, pretty limited. They cut him tomorrow. They got to pay him $5 million. They amnesty him tomorrow. They got to pay him $5 million. He doesn't count against their cap, but their cap's not an issue. They buy him out. They probably got to pay him a little less. He's got to accept that. They suspend him. He's got a right to appeal through the players' union if you're taking his money away. You can trade him by Thursday if somebody actually wants him, probably not that highly likely, or you can try to find a way to have him work for your club. I don't know. I thought I covered it. I don't know what you got. You wanted some inside gory detail, like, oh my gosh, they were throwing. I don't have that. I didn't have there. No one has that gory detail. So, that's what I got for you today. Hope you're good. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Good win. Enjoy the ride. Huge games Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday. Come out and join us at Energy Solutions Arena.